This is part 6 of Microsoft Access video tutorial, and in this part we're going to create even more complicated form than we did before. So reminder, the end of the part 5 was this form pretty much. We created a utility that's the form how data is getting entered into the database that allows me to edit, modify, create new records about clients. So that's the mechanism how all information systems work and how they record data into the data table. So not a single existing information system allows users like you and me, just simple people who use the system, to type things directly into the tables of the database. So users are presented with forms such as this one. And on these forms, there are fields, so the interaction of the users with database is very limited from that standpoint. User forms is the only mechanism how users can interact with the database. Okay, so that was the end of our previous tutorial, part number 5. We created a very simple form which allows me to enter new clients, modify existing clients, navigate between the records, forward and back. And in this part, number 6, I'm going to show you how to create more complicated forms, also using combo box controls, which we did not look at yet. So here's the idea basically. What I want to do is create a form that looks like this. So in other words, I need a form that will allow me to enter details of work completed by my employees for my clients. So this is how I want the form to look like. The form is relatively big. So in the top part of the form, I'm going to have a way to display which client I'm entering information for. That part I don't want to be modifiable because I have a special form for modifying my clients I just created in the previous part number 5. So this part is just for display purposes. This is the main working area of the form where I have to type or select employee name, then pick a date when this employee did the work for that client. And also I can specify what kind of work this employee did and how many hours he worked or she worked. Okay, so let's go back to Access. I'm going to close that form client. And since I want to create a new form, I go to the tab Create. And this time around, I'm going to use Form Wizard. So go ahead and click on Form Wizard. Now, let's go back for a moment to this design. So this is my pretty much prototype, right? This is how I want the form to look and how I want the form to work. Now, what we have to realize is information on this form comes from actually 3 sources. Client name, street, city, state, and zip comes from table clients, obviously. Employee name, probably I'm going to end up pulling out of table employees. And all of that stuff, work date and work description and work hours, is going to get posted into the table work completed. So that's what's different about this form compared to the previous one that we created. In the previous form, clients, it worked only with one table. We're going to create table that works with we're going to create form that works with multiple tables. So again, reminder, what I do is I click on the Form Wizard button and it brings this screen, Form Wizard. So I have to specify which tables and which exact fields I'm going to put on my form. So let's leave out client ID because I'm not that interested in client ID. It's just a way how database keeps track of my clients. Me being human being, I'm not that interested in client ID. It's just a number assigned to a client. So I'm going to put up a client name, street, city, state, and zip. Then from the table work completed, right here, I'm going to pick fields client ID, employee ID, work date, description, and hours worked. Click on the next button and we are presented with a couple of options. How to view our data. We can view the data by grouping by clients and grouping by work completed. So if I pick group by work completed, it's pretty much, you can see right here, preview of how the table or form will look like. It's pretty much a pile of everything that I have selected without any discrimination, right? If I choose to view it while grouping by clients, that looks a lot like what I have in mind. So reminder, this is what I wanted to see, right? Client information on the top of the form, and then in the bulk of the form, this working area, employee name, etc., etc. So details of the work completed. That's pretty much how Microsoft Access right now proposes me to show information on the form. Client on the top, and details about work that my employee did for that client is in the main working area of the form. So I'm going to leave it like that. And also note that I have two options, right? I can pretty much create disconnected forms, which are going to be linked anyway, or I can put them all on the same screen, so to speak, main form and the subform inside of that. Well, I'm going to stick with this way. So click next. Then let's pick here tabular layout for the subform. Click next. And this is the last step. It tells me, well, how do you want to name your form and subform? So the main form I'm going to call clients selection form, and the subform I'm going to call work completed underscore subform. I just don't like to leave any blanks. I guess it's just a habit. Every time when I see a blank or space between the words in anything that's computer related, such as name of the object, form, it just creates bad impression for me. Okay, so I'm pretty much done right here. And when I click finish button, here is my form with probably this is the subform, I'm guessing, but we're going to take a look at that closer in just 1 second. So first of all, let me point out that now I can navigate. How do I use this form? So suppose I'm a user, for example. I can browse between the clients. So right now I'm looking at the client ABC, and you can see that this part displays for me in somewhat weird way, actually, some information, right? So let's take a closer look. Client ABC. This record says that for client number 1, which is ABC, apparently I had employee number 1 working on September the 12th. They did the database design, and I can scroll to the right, and over here, probably, yeah, I can see that they spent 8 hours. And then the next occasion for the same client, I had employee number 2 working. Actually, it was the same date, September the 12th. They did contract negotiation, and I have to scroll. They did it for 5.5 hours. So immediately you see that this part is not exactly convenient, right? First of all, I can't even see the whole record, the whole information. And also, if I want to see it, I need to scroll. Plus, this part looks weird. This text box, I'm guessing this is a text box, looks bigger for some reason than all these text boxes. So I don't like that. Another observation, the white space right here is not used. There is a work underscore completed underscore something. I'm guessing this is a label that was automatically put. So this is not exactly efficient use of the form space. Now I can navigate between the clients. So if I go down at the bottom of the main form and I click on the next record button, you can see that my view changes, right? So now I switch to the next client. Apparently it's client XYZ. And in this part, I can see there is only one record, right? For this client number 2, employee number 2 was working on September the 12th, 2016. They did initial interview for God knows how many hours. 4 hours. Okay. What happens if I go next? Well, I don't have a client number 3 apparently, so nothing is displayed. Okay, now let's switch to the design view. We were in the form view, so this is the functional, operational view of the form, the way the user sees the form. Now let's switch to the design view. So, as we discussed in the previous sections, every form has 3 parts, right? Form header, detail section, and form footer. So you can see that these 3 parts are present on my main form, right? Now this is the working area, and client information is displayed right here. That's what we saw in the main form. And you can see that here is my sub form, right? That is linked obviously with the main form. So if I go back to the form view, as I browse between the clients, right, I change the client, immediately the content of the sub form also changes. Now it displays the records for me that relate to the client that I have selected on the main form. So clearly these two forms are communicating with each other. They're linked, right? And this sub form, it has the same three parts, just like the main form, or any other form for that matter. It has the form header, it has the detail section, and it has the form footer, right? Now, note that interesting behavior of the form is in the fact that all these fields, they are supposed to display for me client number, employee number, work date, work description, etc. But if I go back, so there is only one line of text boxes, right, in my design view. But if I go back to the form view, if I have more than one record for that client with details of the work completed, such as, for example, for client number 1, this is my detail section. But since I have two records, it repeats itself. Not exactly repeats itself. It's a next record with different data. But my point is, these text boxes, they will be replicated on the subform as many times as I have records on my relating to that client that I have selected on the main form. Okay, so let's do some cosmetic work, because as you saw before, we have some issues, right, going on with visual issues, obviously. Let me close property list here. So let's start with the title. Okay, so all these parts of the form are called like forms, not form, but sections selectors. They're clickable, so every time when I click something, I select the entire section. So in my form header, I have, this is obviously a label, right? And I'm going to make it bigger and somewhat less of the height. So instead of saying client selection, I'm going to type exactly what I had in mind actually. What did I? Form to enter work completed. Okay, so form to enter work completed. And let's make it stand out. Right now it's kind of grayish. So I go back to Home tab, make it bold, and also change the color to black, for example. And that's exactly how it's going to look, obviously, right? So I don't need this space. It's just a waste of space, and so I have to click on the detail section and move the selector up, so I make it compact. Okay, next thing that I want to do probably is to disable these fields. Why do I want to do that? Well, remember what the first form that we have created was clients, right? This was the form which is intended to get information from me as a user if I want to enter new clients, or if I want to modify existing clients, or if I want to delete the existing clients. So this is my main tool, how I can work with client records. These fields right now are modifiable, so that means that I can actually go in and start typing client name, for example, and change client names, address, etc., etc. That's not the intent of this form. Really, this form is about details of the work completed. So I don't want these parts to be modifiable. How do I do that? Well, it's pretty easy. So let's go back to design view. And first, let's actually work with this with these labels. So in the label client name, I'm going to replace underscore with just space. Then I'm going to make client name somewhat smaller, because right now it's too tall. And then I can select both label and the text box for street, move it up closer to client name, and also make street text box somewhat smaller, just like that. City, I'm going to do the same thing, move it up closer to the street, and then select the city text box and make it smaller. And then I'm going to select city, state, both label and the text box, move it right under the city. And zip, same thing, right? Move it up and click on the zip text box and make it smaller, just like that. Now, labels right now they're grayed out, so I can select all the labels in one motion of the mouse and make it, for example, bold, and let's use some fancy colors like blue. Okay, so these fields I want to disable. Right now, if I switch to the form view, you can see that I can select and type something. So I want this text to be disabled completely. So what do? I select all these fields because I want to apply the same action to all of them. Want to format them similarly. So go ahead and activate the property sheet button, property sheet on the design tab, and you notice that selection, every time when I select something like text box, for example, it says selection type text box. But when I select multiple of them, multiple selections, so Microsoft Access understands that I have selected a group of controls, and whatever I do will apply to all of them. So first things first, let's get rid of the editability of these controls, right? So I believe it's on the tab All, where everything is listed. Closer to the bottom, I have the property that says enabled. Right now, enabled is yes. So I'm going to switch to no. And that grays out everything. So this is how it's going to look in the form view. So let's switch to the design view. Number 2, I'm going to say locked, yes. So what that does is it clears out the gray background. So now this is how it's going to look on my form view. And note that I cannot click inside these text boxes anymore or select anything. But the border of the text box is still showing. Obviously I don't want that because it just looks weird. So what do? Switch back to the design view and again select all these text boxes. You can find, obviously, it's in this list because it lists everything, all the properties, but it's easier to locate them on the Format tab. Where is the border? Border style. Border style right now is solid, so I have to switch to transparent. Border is still there, text box is still there, nothing really happened. I'm just making the border to have no color. It's completely transparent. And now you can see that it looks as if this text, like client name, street, is just typed on the top of this white space on the top of the main form, but we understand that in actuality it's displayed inside the text box. It's just text box is set to be disabled and have no borders, right? Okay, so that means that right now I cannot edit or change client name or their address for that matter. So let's now work a little bit with this part of the form, that's the subform. So let's switch back to the design view. Well, first of all, I'm going to get rid of this label that occupies just way too much space. So I'm going to select and hit the delete button. Also, you can increase the working area of the form. Let's close for now property list. This is the border. This is where the form ends, right? I'm going to make it bigger, move it to the right. And now click inside the subform, kind of activate that and make it bigger. So I'm going to move the right or left boundary of the subform and also right boundary of the subform so that I can see everything. And also on the top of this subform, I'm going to place a label. So go on the design tab, click on the control label, place it right here. And I'm going to type something like enter details of work completed below. Okay, and let's make the text bigger. So I'm going to switch to the home tab. Let's make the size, for example, 14. Let's make it bold, underlined, and make the color of the font to be red so that it kind of screams at us, right? This is the active part, attracts attention. Okay, so let's make it smaller somewhat and kind of put it in the center. Okay, let's see how that looks. Looks pretty much how we designed it. Okay, so I did just a couple of cosmetic steps, right? So I'm going to stop this video right here, and in the next portion, part number 7, I'm going to show you how we can modify this section of the form to look better and also to work better. So I'm going to stop it right here.